Hi everyone, Sunstrider here, and today we are going to talk about using my Zero as a Mindfire DPS weapon.
You what?
Now, hold that thought because I know it sounded crazy and stupid, and let's see if it's going to work or not. So this idea came to me because as a frost weapon main, I like the flexibility of doing some instances where they have a frost resistance. While not every instances does have frost resistance mobs, it feels great to build your next weapon and see its weapon's unique playstyle. Now, if you are going to ask me, why bother developing Zero as a fire DPS? Well, the answer is simple enough. Back then, when I first got the SSR check-in reward, I chose Meryl instead of King, thinking that one shatter weapon is enough and forgot to factor in the fact that I don't have a different type shatter weapon. Lucky for me, I got this Zero out of my random gold nucleus pool and quickly abandoned him because I got Meryl to develop back then. For the record, I did use him a bit and to be honest, quite interested by his blocky attack animation. The only thing that didn't get me excited back then was his damage and function in my team comp. I guess the wheel of fate does turn on me and boy oh boy, how I've spent all my resources in building Zero. So I leveled him up to level 40 while my main character's level is 50-ish or something, and as you guys would have expected, the damage is lacking from this weapon. Well, totally understandable considering this weapon is categorized as a support weapon and in lower level compared to the world level, but that's not why we are here. We are here to test the capability of this weapon to break through its category and shift from support to attack weapon.
What is he doing?
He's beginning to believe.
For the sake of testing him out, I nearly spent my resources to level 90 him. Did I ever regret doing that? Well, I'm in the gray about that and you'll find out why. Before I move out on to how I test this damage out, let's see his skill description first. Okay, so as I'm in level 90 now, while on the ground, manipulate the cube to attack 5 times in a row. First attack, deal damage equal to 46.7% of attack plus 818, and the third attack is the highest attack multiplier percentage of all the 5 attack. It's 118.5%, and the fifth attack deal 80.9% of attack plus 204 up to 3 times and launch a target. Meanwhile, the skill here is Omnium Shield. Create shielding for self and nearby allies to block up to 800% of attack in damage for 10 seconds. Deal 142.9% of attack plus 360 damage to nearby targets and strongly launch them. Each cube in position when this skill is used adds 160% of attack to max shielding and exhausts the cube. Omnium Wave. When weapon charge is full or Pantasia is triggered, remove all the buffs from the wielder and gain 5 cubes upon switching to this weapon. Then unleash the 5 cubes along with a shockwave. The shockwave deals damage equals to 171% of attack plus 431 to nearby targets and strongly launches them into the air. Each cube also deals damage equal to 48.5% of attack plus 122. If allies are in the vicinity, they gain damage immunity for 3 seconds. Now, based on the damage multiplier alone, Zero's normal attack multiplier is surprisingly good when you compare it to other SSR DPS multipliers. Initially, this is something interesting because as a support weapon, he's not lacking on this number. If we compare Zero's damage multiplier with my level 90 Meryl's damage multiplier, you can see that there's a small multiplier gap. But of course, if you're going to compare my level 90 Zero and my level 80 Crow, there's a huge damage multiplier gap and clearly see the difference between a real DPS weapon and a support weapon that tried to be one. After leveling up to level 90, doing mods is a fun thing to do because of his attack animation and the increased attack number. But you have to be careful around the enemy with shields because Zero is not a weapon that has a strong shatter point. His attack is quite an interesting one because the first few attacks is a single target attack and next attack will become an AoE explosion that will help you clear the mobs faster. For the record, I'm using these matrices that give a total of 6% bonus fire damage to the enemy. Like how I normally test the weapon damage, I tried him on Interstellar Exploration to see the single damage output capability, and well, as you guys would have expected, not the greatest out there. From 1.3 million damage that we did, Zero only did 573.2k clean damage, and that's as far as I could count because after it reached 1 million, it's difficult for me to know the exact number. Well, it's true that Zero contributed half of the damage on this run. We also have to consider his level to damage output ratio when compared to the 2 other weapons I used on this run, with 20 level difference and the time it took for us to clear the instances. With the damage output from the previous Interstellar run didn't show a great result, I'm trying to find another way to boost Zero's damage output, and right at this time I realized that I have his dupe and could 1-star advance him. I got excited when I knew that I'll be able to 1-star awaken him, and quickly feel a strong disappointment when I first learned about his awaken description. His 1-star awaken trait totally negates the idea of Zero becoming my main DPS weapon thanks to his ability to produce healing orbs whenever he deals damage to the enemy. As a DPS, your role is to deal as much damage as possible to the enemy. Being DPS that also heals feels like you're changing the entire nature of character and role classification, and I am somehow against this idea. But after I read the next weapon advancement that increases his base attack growth by 16%, Zero might be able to increase his damage even further, but the idea of him being the fire main DPS is still vague to me at the moment. After accepting the fact that I need to find another main fire DPS weapon and throw away the idea of Zero being a DPS weapon, I tried him on the joint operation and surprisingly was able to top off the number 2 DPS spot for the entire run. Now, I'm not sure if this is because my team's level was lower or something else, but seeing Zero providing shield as well as heal does put a smile on my face because I finally understood where he belongs. Damage output, not so great. Heal and shield, yes, and will scale with your attack. Damage and heal amplification, yes, once you 5-star awaken him. In conclusion, Zero is a good support and sustain weapon that will help your team in fighting a long boss fight or instances. With his AoE skill, along with his awaken 1-star, he will continuously deal damage that will produce healing that your team will more than likely to appreciate. Building him as a DPS weapon is a good and out-of-the-box thought that is unlikely to happen because of how his skill set was built. You're more than welcome to try this, but as an enlightened person who have seen and experienced support Zero, I wouldn't recommend you doing so. Well, what do you think? Have you ever thought of becoming Zero as a main DPS weapon? Or you exactly knew where he belongs? Comment below and let's discuss. Make sure to subscribe to support the channel, like the video if you enjoyed it, or dislike the video if you don't think what I said makes sense, and see you on the other videos.